What's up, guys? So today I'm going to talk about retro gaming. That's pretty much where all us hardcore gamers started off, in the past, with those old school games that we all know and love. The first console that I ever played was the Nintendo, but for some weird reason I have this memory that we had the Atari and then I was playing Pong. But the weird thing is that I was playing the game in my closet. So I don't know if I should trust that memory. I have to ask my older brother, because he's the one that would remember if we did have the Atari or not. I have no idea where that memory came from. It's so weird. My first console that I played was the Nintendo, for sure. That was my older brother's. I remember playing the Mario Brothers games. Those were the ones that really got me into gaming. Mario Brothers. I remember playing the first Mario Brothers. I remember playing Mario Brothers 2. I remember playing Mario Brothers 3, which was one of my favorites. Mario Brothers 3, I think, has gone down as being one of the best Mario games ever, because, I mean, you still hear songs that were in Mario 3, in, like, recent Mario games. Of course, you hear songs from Mario Brothers also. There's just those songs that go down in history, and they just keep using them just because they're classic Mario songs. But Mario Brothers 3 just went down in history, and I think it was such a great game. I remember the day we got it, or the day my brother got it. Oh man, it was such an awesome experience. That one and Mario Brothers 2 is probably my fondest memories of playing Mario Brothers and playing on the Nintendo. I also remember playing The Legend of Zelda, the gold cartridge for the Nintendo. The sad thing about that was that it broke. I have no idea how it broke. It just never worked after a few times we played it. We did the whole blow into the cartridge and everything, and like under your shirt, and but it never worked. And I remember my brother's friend tried to fix it, but that's it. And I don't know what happened to it. I wish we had kept it, at least. Another game I really remember playing that I used to adore was Rampage. I used to love that game so much. I don't know what it was, just the whole thought of destruction and being able to, like, climb up these buildings and take people out of the windows and eat them was just awesome. I don't know if that was healthy. I was always the monkey, I think, because there was a monkey, a wolf, and the lizard. And I remember being the monkey more than any of the other ones. But, yeah, that was the ultimate game. I used to play that at home, and I used to play it at the arcade, too. I think that's one thing that us gamers have memories of, is playing in the arcade. A lot of my gaming experience came from playing in the arcade, which was a lot of fun. I remember we'd go to Pizza Hut, and there was, I think they had, like, four little machines, and they had I remember they had Rampage, they had Street Fighter, the Ninja Turtles game for the arcade. Oh my god, I used to love that game. I was already a huge Ninja Turtles fan when I was a little kid, but that game was so much fun. You could play with 2 players, and I'd always play with my brother, and he was always Leonardo and I was always Donatello. Of course, Donatello's like the ultimate nerd. Street Fighter was another game that I played a lot of with my brothers and my dad. I was always Guile or E Honda. Guile was my number 1 favorite, though, and my dad was always Chun-Li. It was pretty funny that he loved to be Chun-Li for some reason. That was the only game he ever played, and he was pretty good at it too. It was pretty surprising. And then, of course, Harvest Moon. Harvest Moon is my love. It's the one game that I will always play, no matter how old I am. I absolutely adore that game. I think the first time I played it, the first one that I played was for it was Harvest Moon 64, for the Nintendo 64. So I didn't play the very first ones I think there was one for the Super Nintendo, and I'm not sure if there was one for the Nintendo, but Harvest Moon was, oh my god. If you guys haven't played Harvest Moon, I mean, of course, Harvest Moon is for a specific type of gamer. I don't know if all gamers would like Harvest Moon. Maybe like your hardcore shooter people like playing Call of Duty and all that would probably not like Harvest Moon. But it's such a fun game. It's so addictive. It's just like, I mean, you obsess over doing these chores that you would never do in real life. That's the funny thing about it. Like, you're like, oh my god, I gotta go water my crops. But I have real plants outside, and I'm just like, whatever. No, I never do that. Like, in real life, I always forget to water the plants and all that. But in Harvest Moon, it's like, I have to go, like, feed my chickens, and I gotta go water my turnips and all this stuff, and you're just so, like, obsessed over it, and you have to do it right, and it's just such a fun game. I don't even know why. So I've played almost all the Harvest Moons except for the handhelds, which I am going to be buying soon because I'm going to be getting a DSi. I'll talk more about that later, but yeah. So I'm going to be getting the Harvest Moon games for the DS. Metroid. Metroid was one of my favorite games also. And I think another game that was kind of similar to Metroid, and by similar I just mean the type of because you gotta admit, Metroid was so different from Mario. It's so different. Like, it's still that side scroll type of game, but Mario is so much more lighthearted. Like, it's more like a cartoon almost. It's more like, oh, you gotta kill the little monster that looks like a mushroom. In Metroid, it's more like you gotta kill the evil robot that's gonna shoot your head off. So it's a little more dramatic, I think, is the word. Metroid. You've got to shoot these things with these guns or your like hand, your gun hand and stuff. So Metroid was different, but still very fun. And the game that I'm thinking of that was kind of similar to Metroid was Mega Man, and we were huge Mega Man fans also. Mega Man. My brother was just telling me the other day that they were gonna make, I think, Mega Man X. I could be wrong, but they're going to be making one of the major Mega Man games for the iOS. So for your iPhone, your iPad, your iTouch, that type of stuff. They're making Mega Man, and I was like, I used to own the old school Game Boy, like the big, huge brick, and I used to play Pokemon, of course. Pokemon and Dexter. There was this one game named Dexter something. It was like this puzzle game, and it was so much fun. We used to have the Ninja Turtles game for it. So we had that. My younger brother did have all the Game Boy consoles. The Game Boy Color, the Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy SP. I found the boxes for them, actually. I couldn't find the actual systems, but the boxes I did, and I was like, wow! I can't believe how small the Game Boy SP was. It was like freaking tiny. Speaking of things that I found, look at what I found. When I found this, I was like I had a total nerd moment. The Super Nintendo controller. Now, where the Super Nintendo is, I have no idea. But I found the Super Nintendo controller, and I was just like, I also found these little stickers. Metroid Prime. 5. And I found my first game that I ever owned that was mine. I told you guys in a different video that the first console that I ever owned was the Sega Genesis. And this was my first game. Lion King. And it was also the first game I ever beat. I did play Mario Brothers before this, all the Mario Brothers games before this game. Well, not all of them, but most of them. For the Nintendo and the Nintendo... No, just for the Nintendo, because I got this before we got the Super Nintendo, I believe. I don't remember exactly, but I was like, I think I was 8 years old or something, 8 or 9. But this was the first game that I actually beat. The game is actually in here, which is absolutely awesome. This game means a lot to me. My dad gave it to me for my birthday.